What's going on, everybody? Welcome to our first conference realignment result show, I guess we can call it. We got double digits in here, 11 plus five of us on here, so very cool to see everyone hopping in at 11:38 at night on a random Tuesday. We got a full house. We got the Cock household, Bracket and Guac. We got Zeth. We got Quacks. Gentlemen, this is a momentous occasion because it's the first time we're able to do this all cycle. It was going to be a humongous part of what the plan was, and it got put on hold, but it's here now, and what better time than the present? So, let's get into it. Bracket, we'll start with you. I kind of made it known to the bigger schools that you're kind of locked in for right now. Didn't want complete chaos right now, especially when we're all trying to figure out and even see if this system works. This could be scrapped
So
in next
anti
year.
Nick.
Yeah, yeah, but no, I like controlled
Anti.
controlled
Yeah.
chaos. But what's your initial thought on all of this, and what just after hearing it all, kind of seeing some of it happen, where do you stand?
I think that I still need to see it play out, right?
Yeah.
I think that we've got a pretty strong concept. I think that things should work. I know that we've tested the hell out of it. I'm excited to see it work. I want it to work. I need to see how things work this first year, maybe even the second year, and then we'll recap next year.
Yes. Yeah. Quacks, what about you? I know the timing couldn't have been worse for you because you, you you were Cal. You were Cal. You were feeling good, and
Number two in the
then
nation,
yeah,
baby.
and then you weren't Cal, and we were able to do all this. So where do you stand on all of this?
Yeah, I was a little bitter at first, but
Yeah.
uh, bitter at the timing. But I'm stoked now because it teams like Colorado State. This allows the grind, right? This is what actually lets you turn a one or two star team into a potential powerhouse. Like if we were just
Oh
stuck in
yeah.
our conferences, it's almost impossible because the recruiting just like caps out when you can't get any good grades. Like I'm rocking like 80% of my grades are D and C minus. So, now I can actually work towards moving up with the same team and, you know, I'm excited.
Yeah. Glock, what about you? You are a conference commissioner of the Big 12. You were also in the Big 12, so we had to kind of get you out of the Big 12, which you took it upon yourself, which I appreciate that. I didn't even have to tell you. Um, how are you feeling about the entire process so far? Being the
I
conference
love it,
commissioner
man.
and that whole thing, yeah.
I think it adds an entire dimension to college football for us. I think if everything goes as well as we anticipate, again with all the testing we've done, you know, it somewhat works. But we we have this opportunity, like Quack was saying, where we have a one-star school. He has all these D and F motivations and stuff, and now all of a sudden he's got an A minus conference prestige. You know what I mean? He gets that, and that's huge for recruiting. You once you can only recruit so much, and it gets kind of tough, but it's going to make it a lot more fun for people, and I'm kind of excited for what we're about to reveal here. So um, I think being able to collect all these different users of similar uh, skill levels is going to be huge. So
Yeah.
I'm kind of excited to see what kind of conferences we build. Like you're not always going to have like this powerhouse conference like the SEC, right? But you now have these other conferences that are now going to be completely different from what we see in real life, and I'm really excited to see what it turns into.
Well, that's the biggest thing, and then I'll get to you too to touch on what you want to talk about. But what people fail to realize is like, people are still going to get fired. People are still going to switch teams. Like we still have a freaking decade to go here. We got 10 years probably to go. Um, just because your conference is loaded right now, you could have a mass exodus of users switching schools. Not even the schools leaving. So like you might have a conference with six people. Now, like the Mountain West went from four users, then adding a fifth with the new user to now next year it's going to have two or three like things change fast, and that's if like of the users in the Mountain West don't change teams. So um things are constantly gonna be changing. People are gonna not like who they're playing, switch teams. There's lots of ways to make it happen. And I think it's going to be a unique experience. And if you don't want competition, you shouldn't pick an SEC team. That's what it really comes down to. You pick an SEC team, you want an SEC roster, you're playing the best of the best. Don't bitch in my chat about it. I don't care. Like you picked an SEC roster. Deal with your conference. Rob did a great job. Rob went out and added Notre Dame, the most coveted team in all of it. The SEC could get more points out of it, or more coins out of it because of it, and all we have are people crying. So like at the end of the day, you save the tears. I don't care. You can't beat somebody, then go play in the MAC, dude. Go play in the Conference USA. Like, and you're not taking your SEC team. Go join as the Jacksonville State Gamecocks. Go enjoy that. So, um,
You can still be the Gamecocks
yeah,
just somewhere else.
yeah, exactly. You picked an SEC team. You signed up for the best of the best. You should just be happy there's some Georgia and Alabama user right now. So, like, that's the stuff that baffles me. It's like, what do you think? You think you get to play Vanderbilt every week? No, dude, take a hike. So, all right, let's go ahead and get into this. We'll run through, a lot of the major changes. Then we can kind of I have my spreadsheet that I didn't make the changes on, but we can kind of go through that together. But we'll kind of go through the moves one at a time here. Of the ones, first off, the ones that are changing conferences, and then we can talk about who kind of finalized deals to stick around and different things. We got the first one that kind of came out of nowhere. I thought the Boise State Broncos were locked into the MWC. And he was the first one to sign a deal right away. Boise State headed to the ACC on a 2-year contract worth 5,000 per season. So if once you see all the different contracts, like 5,000 is one of the higher chunks here. I think it is the highest, second highest one signed by a team. So Nairi goes and gets paid by Ilio, who's the ACC coordinator or conference commissioner, and signs a 2-year deal. And I think Boise State's a good get for them. Like I think the ACC needed more users once because the ACC at one point when we first started, it was loaded. We had Georgia Tech, Florida State, Cal, Miami, Virginia Tech. We had like a 5-user conference. Then all of a sudden now it's down to 1 user or 2 users. So you get Boise State back, which probably helps the other 2 users stick around because they both re-signed. So I think that's a good get, Quacks. What do you think about the Boise State Broncos and their blue turf heading to the ACC? Which the ACC now is, I mean, when their recent additions of Cal and Stanford and have kind of in Washington or whoever else have now made it this like cross country conference really, where it used to just be an Atlantic Coast Conference.
Yeah, it's interesting that last point because there's like really 3 conferences now that don't have any sort of geographical rules anymore, seemingly.
Yeah,
So it does let Ilya like go for really whoever he wants.
yep,
Nairi surprised me because I mean he was getting ready to like lock the Mountain West down for a while,
yeah,
and probably wasn't far away from starting to get playoff bids. But um, I think if you are looking for like one of the Power Four conferences where the user base is gonna grow, but you're not dealing with like a bunch of stacked rosters. Obviously, Miami's there, but you still get
yeah.
a shot. You still get a shot in the ACC. Cal right now, obviously, they're number one powerhouse team in the country. Should have won,
Well, I was gonna
but
say you do still you have Cal, you have Clemson, you have Florida State. NC State has been pretty good. You have North Carolina. I think Stanford's ranked like in the top 15 right now in ours. I think they have 2 losses. Like they're up there. The ACC has some good computer teams. It just you just know you are playing to beat the Miami Hurricanes out there. So, um,
the
with
difference with the good ACC teams and like the SEC computer teams is like the stadiums and the atmosphere of everything. It does feel like you can beat any team in the ACC computer wise. You just got to have a good game. With the SEC, like I see some of those games and it's uphill sledding from the start.
yes, for sure. Let's move on to our next one. This was another probably the one of the bigger I guess one of the bigger teams to move, which it's the Rutgers Scarlet Knights. They head to the Sun Belt, which at first I was against it, and then I looked at the ratings of the teams in the Sun Belt and Chad's roster, and they were pretty similar and comparable. And when you move, and he has not really had a great season. He loses to a lot of teams he probably should beat. So it was one of those matches that, like, yeah, go give it a shot. If you start abusing the team with your roster, or your recruits are just way better, we'll probably make you go to a better conference. But, like, as of right now, like, his roster's pretty equal with some of the other rosters there, and I think at the end of the day, like, it'll be competitive, whether that's good or bad for Chad. And it's hard to fault someone or tell them no, you can't, when they're giving up their potential automatic bid in the Big Ten. Like, it is what it is. So he ended up signing a 3-year $5,000 contract, so he's locked in through season 7. So I don't know. What do we think, bracket? What do you think about Chad and the Scarlet Knights to the Sun Belt Conference?
He should be able to win that conference.
You'd like to think so, right? There's Aries is over there. Aries,
He wins
Aries.
pretty good games.
I want to say Aries' roster was higher rated than Chad's roster, and Aries what is looking like a pretty good recruiting class for Southern Miss.
Yeah, I mean, you also have to take into account the ability to play the game. Chad's been playing pretty well.
Yes, that's true. But we'll see. You allowed more computer games, so we'll see. If some people like playing against computer, other people hate it. So at the end of the day, building a dynasty. Nicholas says Boise State, says Nairi. All Coast Conference. That is what the ACC should stand for sure. All right, let's go through the other one. The other one of somebody leaving. SEC all resigns, Oregon resigns, Auburn resigns, Minnesota resigns, UCF resigns. The two big ones here, we had two users jumping, or actually both on this call, jumping to the Big 12, where we actually have the commissioner on this call as well. But we had Colorado State leaving the MWC, and we had Zeth and Missouri leaving the SEC and going back to the Big 12 where Missouri kind of was. I think the move makes sense for Missouri. You get back in, like, your region. You get away from the powerhouse of the SEC, I guess, where it's a little bit more of you can go get that automatic bid now. You're all of a sudden Missouri goes back to the Big 12, and there's no Texas, there's no Oklahoma, there's no it's a wide open conference, and it's got some fun users, I think, to play over there. So Colorado State, Quacks is having a good season right now. I think this is a chance to where now you need to take that next step and build that roster to compete with some of these Big 12 teams, which could be a year of growing pains and things like that. But I'm curious to see how it goes. But it's a risk. I'm not going to penalize someone for wanting to move up and getting the offer to move up. Like, that's you're taking the risk. You could easily win 2 games and get fired. So. Seth, how are you feeling about the new look Big 12 that also added Middle Tennessee State, the Blue Raiders? They added Ebanks as well. So right now that conference has Ebanks, Zeth, Boone, Quacks, and JMO, because the Texas Tech Red Raiders are gone now. They moved to the Big 10, which we'll announce in a little bit. But Seth, how are we feeling?
Dude, honestly, super, super excited. The Big 12, home, sweet home, baby. Keep all my homies close, you know what I mean, in the game and outside the game. Yeah, I don't know. I'm super excited, and it's a fun conference. It's an open conference because it's a lot of fun users, and the teams aren't crazy. So I think it'll be a lot of fun playing in it, and I'm excited to be back. And the Tigers are hot, baby.
The Big 12's cool. Glock will go to you. The Big 12's cool because you have the option. You have 18 teams in there now without getting rid of any computer teams yet. If you plan on doing so, where you could switch to divisions. You could do it geographically, the north and south, the east and west, or whatever you want to do there. You can keep it how it is. You can have one big conference. But 18 teams is a big conference. It's looking good out there. And you have some fun computer teams. So Houston, Colorado's been pretty good with their quarterbacks. Kansas hasn't recovered from what Zeth did to them. Oklahoma State's still good. West Virginia, obviously, you have Tosh's old team, which has a pretty decent roster. So How are we feeling about the conference, Guac, that you built?
I love the conference, man. So far, I don't want to count my chickens before they hatch. I think I said that already, but it's so cool so far to be able to build this conference kind of how I wanted to. Bring a lot of cool users together. I'm also really excited that TCU is going to be open soon. That's going to be awesome. A 4-star computer team in my conference is going to be pretty cool.
I did
Having Tosh's.
notice everybody got a 2-year contract except TCU.
You see, I'm telling you what, he's gonna get his ass fired, man.
TCU with the 1-year deal. Does Boone
He
know
wanted
everyone?
he asked for the 1-year deal, so I think he knew what
Trying
he
to
was getting
dodge us,
into.
bro. He's dodging. He doesn't
Yeah,
want
man,
to see.
I've been pretty transparent with my moves, to my league mates here or my conference. And I don't know if he just doesn't like the ideas or what, but he's not gonna have a job here soon, so it doesn't really matter.
Well, it's good. I mean, you have your incentive program. We can hear about that more throughout the next couple of weeks. But your budget's up to 25,000. As of right now, you've only used 12,500 of that to pay the team. So you have a lot of money to do incentives with, or you can roll some of that over into next year and bump the budget up a little higher if you were trying to attract more teams, or if you wanted to start signing some of these teams to bigger contracts to keep them. So you have some options there. But it's
Right.
looking good. You have, like I said, you got and I apologize, you have a 19 team conference right now, so you do have an odd number. We'll probably kick somebody out. Who knows who? All right, let's move on. The other two, that might be everybody that moved as of right now. Buffalo and Northern Illinois both re-signed with the MAC. They each got $5,000 from the MAC to stick around for one season. Penn State, Oregon, and Ohio State all stay with the Big Ten on 1-year deals for $2,500 plus the Big Ten incentive program that JMO's cooking up. Notre Dame. Notre Dame to the SEC. We can touch on that one now. So that gives what 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So they stay at 8 teams in the SEC, which is big. I know Rob's got plans of potentially shifting into divisions again. The SEC is down to what? They have 16 teams total. So you could go 8-8, depending on how you wanted to flip that geographically or however. The only conference TCU stays, Virginia Tech stays, UCF stays, Minnesota stays. Yeah, everybody else stayed. The big everyone in the So the ones we're still waiting to hear from. We are waiting the whole American Conference. We haven't heard from Army. We haven't heard from Memphis. We haven't heard from South Florida. We haven't heard from Temple. Temple and South Florida and Memphis were both very highly touted after teams by all the other conferences. I think they made a decision they all were going to stay. I just don't think. I think we're waiting to hear from USF, but I don't think anything has officially been sent to me. So
Right.
those guys could be locked up, but I don't know.
I heard from a little birdie that Temple is staying put. They have something to prove in that conference.
I think
So,
and that's a winnable conference. Temple USF is
yeah.
sitting at what top 10 in the country right now, well top 15 in the country after the loss, but they're rolling. I got the guy linebacker who's best in the country right now, or leading for the linebacker award. So that's pretty cool. Who knows with Army? I got no clue. I haven't heard anything from Riot. I don't even know if Boone knows Riot's Army, so that'll be interesting. I will say Nairi is the commissioner in the Conference USA, and they only had one user, and it was his buddy Ebanks, who he knows in real life, and Ebanks left. So Nairi, the Conference USA has nobody. The MAC has 2 teams still. The Sun Belt sitting at 2 teams. There we go. Pac-12 still 0 teams. They haven't had anybody in the Pac-12, and that was supposed to be the big one. You kind of had, you could start rebuilding, or maybe I think you'll see the Pac-12 grow. It'll probably be taking some teams that other conferences don't want anymore, maybe building, kind of building out that Pac-12 a little bit to get something started. Who else have we not heard from? We had 25, 20. I believe San Diego State and Air Force have been heard from. Well, San Diego State has at least. The Air Force one's going to be interesting. But San Diego State is getting a nice little fat contract to stick around in the Mountain West, so that's a good deal for him. That's what you get for being an active member of your conference, though. So good job, KOTV. Those details have not been released yet, though. What's your guys' thought? Is this a lot of 1 year deals, pretty much? I think a lot of people are trying to just figure out what this is. I think a lot of conference commissioners also trying to figure out how these things are going to work before committing to teams long term. You had to offer teams 2 years if they were joining your conference, so that's the 2 year deals. But um, I I can admit I don't know how this is all going to work. Still, it's going to be. Let me pull this up over here if it's going to load for us. Here we go. Let me full screen and I'll change the size.
Did Pride resign?
That's the interesting one, but he's probably going to just be forced to at this point. Unless you choose, yeah, like you got to communicate. You communicate with your conference commissioner, and if you choose not to, then not participate in this, then you just get the stock contract. That it is what it is. Yeah, here's our little spreadsheet. Teams in bold, obviously, are the user teams. We got how much money each team's kind of getting in the little spreadsheet by year. The budget up top there. This is gonna change. This is all kind of being built on the fly still. 20,000, 0, 10,000 for the Mac. Mountain West is down to 15. SBC is up to 10. What else we got? What conference? I mean, let's look. SEC versus Big Ten. Those have kind of been the big two in real life and in here. Big Ten, obviously less teams. I think with Chad leaving, and then Sparty started Michigan State. He got let go. Guac started at Maryland. He got let go. So we had that exodus there. You still have Minnesota. You have Ohio State, Oregon, Penn State, and then obviously you had Texas Tech in there. So you get Guac kind of as the Big Ten kind of another team, like Quacks mentioned. You get the full reign of the country now, kind of outside of like the Southeast, I guess, which is dominated by and then the SEC. Who do we think is the strongest conference? Is it the SEC? Does anyone not think it's the SEC?
There's no way it's not the SEC.
It's got to be.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, I think you get Notre Dame, you have Tennessee in there, and then you just have a lot of good rosters. Auburn, Florida both get big time recruits. Texas is a loaded roster. Oklahoma, dude, I think the game's glitched for Oklahoma. I really do. Why is Oklahoma a 5-star school in our thing?
He doesn't even know how to recruit.
We have 2 5-star schools, and
Or
Oklahoma's
win
one.
games.
Oklahoma has not won a college football playoff game. The first year their recruiting class was horrible. Like if any, like I just don't understand
They
how
did win a playoff game.
they did win one.
Yeah, he beat me last year.
Ooh.
Herb stopped me, actually.
And like Van said, he's in everyone's stadium, which I don't understand that either. Like it doesn't make sense to me.
That's all nonsense.
No, there's something glitched about Oklahoma. I don't get it. But hey, it is what it is.
Hey, you said it wasn't going to be fair, right?
Yeah, yep.
EA likes the Sooners like they like the Cowboys.
Dude, somebody does over there. It's
Yeah.
very interesting. And then what we got? Big 12 is kind of trying to make a push. Because we have the Power Four conferences. I can't get them all on one screen right now, but you have the Power Four with the ACC, the Big 10, the Big 12, and the SEC right now. I think this will be interesting. The Big 12 is going to be really interesting because you added some teams that aren't Power 5 caliber, but could definitely, if they build it out, who knows?
You got to keep in mind that there is that Tosh roster that's still in there too, right?
That's nice. But you're lacking
Probably favorites.
They probably are the favorites to win it all. You're lacking the big time schools really, which that's kind of what happened to the Big 12 in real life. They lost Texas, Oklahoma, and it was kind of like, well, now what? And then so it's pretty open. You get a lot of similar skilled users with different rosters. JMO's roster, I feel like UCF's pretty good at recruiting. He gets access in the Big 12 to the Florida recruits, which no one else in that conference really does. So that's kind of a little advantage. But Zeth is coming in with a former SEC team that probably has decent recruiting grades compared to the Colorado States of the world.
Yeah, I'll tell you, my pipelines are certainly way favorable now with this team, especially being in the Big 12 now, compared to the other alternatives inside the Big 12, at least previously.
Sparty is the Pac-12 commissioner. Yes. Quacks, what do you think with your? I think it'll be interesting to see you with a normal playbook. Um, with that, I don't think we got to see what you can do with a lesser roster, even though you are putting together a pretty good season. Um, Maybe a little more challenging than it needed to be with the Army playbook.
True, true.
Yeah. But I'm excited to see that. I think this is another one. Like you said, 19 teams right now. Guac, are you trying to move some out, you think? Or what are we thinking? Where do we
Yeah,
want to we
yeah. I'm thinking that there may be a team or two I drop, but I kind of want to pay attention. Quacks instilled the fear into me the other day. He was like, "What are we gonna do when all these other teams poach our CPU teams?" I was like, "Oh, I have no idea."
where
So I'm kind of don't instill that fear into me right now, asshole.
what's what
Let's enjoy
yeah.
our conference. We just built a cool conference. Let's think about how cool it is right now.
Yeah,
Um,
we want our CPU dudes, bro.
That's
yeah,
what
yeah,
Javo hit me up.
exactly.
It was Javo hit me up and was like, so how's this gonna work? He goes, I'd like to bring in this team, but I also don't want like these conferences taking my guys. He goes, I really just want to stop dumb shit from happening. And I was like, yeah, we're gonna stop stupid shit. But everyone's trying to figure out the plan. We're gonna find a. I think we will. I think it probably makes the most sense. Like Boone in the conference commissioner chat, if everyone posts who they are looking to potentially get rid of, I think maybe we find some teams that are like, oh, that'd be cool to add them, or some conferences that are like, oh, that'd be a good fit for my
Right.
conference.
Create kind of like a free agency pool of teams, kind of.
Yeah, and then if multiple
Yeah.
people want to fight for the same one, or if there's some that are because a lot of you might just want 12 teams. It used to just be every conference was like 8 to 12 teams, and now fucking because
The
like
old
the
Pack
old
8.
dude, the poor Conference USA down here only has 9. Back in the day, that was like a ton. You got 10 in the. We can't even talk about the poor little Pac-12 up here. Just those poor Beavers and Cougars just chilling by
The
themselves.
Beavs and the Cougars, bro.
Yeah, and then right now the Sun Belt's the only one with multiple divisions, but they have an odd number now. I think you got 8 and 7. Yeah, so you get 15 users. So I don't know. We'll see what the game lets you do there. Who, without giving away or trying to sway commissioners, I guess. So Glock, you don't have to answer this. Let's start. I mean, Quacks, what teams do you think are good candidates to move around? Like computer teams,
Well,
whether it's like one or two or a pair of teams that might be a good fit or something. What
the
do you
team I
got?
messaged Guac about was Colorado
Hmm.
because I have a rivalry with them, an in-game one.
Yeah,
And I feel like they're a popular team. You just got to like look at all the teams that kept showing up on all of the wheel spins, like
yeah.
the Utahs and I mean Zeth's at Missouri. I know we had a lot of Missouris on there. Who else do we? I mean we had a bunch of Colorados.
Yeah, bunch of FIUs
Um,
too. FIU, those jerseys.
FIU. Yeah, some of those like lower tiered schools that have cool jerseys or have some freak quarterback or something that got recruited that people are going to want to switch to.
We could
Those are
we
going to
could
be the hot
see
commodities.
so FIU might get an invite to like the SEC or something. Somebody just wants to, Rob's trying to get another user in there, just throws FIU in the bottom of the conference. Who knows? Bracket, what about you? Anybody? I know you're not a huge college football guy. Any Anybody you think would be a good candidate to move around, or that would be a fun team that conference commissioners might be after? Probably
Yeah, I
not.
think I saw his smoke signal. He said, "Get those Utah Ute fucking Mormons out of our fucking
Dude,
conference."
Utah is a fun one because that could go back to the Pac-12. That could go back to the Mountain West. They could go like I guess Big Ten nowadays too. I guess ACC. I mean American. It could pretty much go. Utah could kind of fall in line
I
anywhere,
mean,
but
even the Mountain West. Did you say them?
yeah, no, they could. Yeah, and that's a really good roster and a good team. So I don't know. I think
Van had a great question in chat. He asked, "What did UCF do to lose $1?"
uh,
Um, so JMO is a team player and offered to take the pay cut to
Zeth
make Zeth happy.
Zeth wanted to be the
Zeth
highest
wanted to
paid
be
team.
paid. Yep. So he got his coin differential from everybody else in the conference, and JMO got paid 1 coin less, and it is what it is.
What's funny is I was trying to make sure I just got one more than Quacks,
There we go.
but you took it from poor JMO.
What's
And if Glock would have messaged me and been like, "All right, man, so the deal is a couple years, 2,499 coins," I would have been
You
like,
probably said no.
who's getting the one?
yeah, yeah."
You would have kept if you would have kept bidding $1 up, and then JMO's just funding your guys' bidding war would have been the funniest thing. It's like, why is there $27 missing for JMO's? Well, um, no, I think that's how that worked out. JMO's got the most awkward, So that's what's going to be cool though. You see the ones like the ACC all 5,000 apiece. But then you look Big Ten, Big 12, SEC, all 2,500, 3,000. Those commissioners all have plans with the incentive system where they're going to try to um, reward for different things. Making the conference championship, being a conference runner-up, different things like that. So you're getting your yearly guarantee plus some incentives, plus you're getting your media deal, which is what the SEC teams forget. It's like you added Notre Dame. You added a team who's typically top five, top three every year. Like that could bump your media coins you get at the end of the year up. All of a sudden that's big time. So there's a positive for adding good users. And these two little independents over here still, UConn and the UMass Minutemen. Who's adding them? Um, but I think that's kind of the next step. First off, we're making sure the American teams all have somewhere to go, or that they are all re-signing. We need to figure that out. Secondly, we need to. It's kind of going to be this computer swap where we don't want to see. I don't want to see a shit ton of like we don't want to completely realign every conference one season in. We don't need. We just want it to make sense. We want to start maybe getting the numbers a little right, seeing who wants to get rid of who wants to add who. Why is Colorado State so much more bold than everybody else?
I think
What do
it'll
you
get
mean?
more interesting.
Oh, on the
That's a
formatting.
it's a different font. Never mind. Okay. Same with
Yeah, I
Boise.
think it'll get more interesting as we go along. As guys, specifically conference commissioners and everybody, kind of figures out how it's going to work and what
Yeah.
works and what doesn't. You'll find the guys are probably more comfortable making moves, whereas some guys, conference commissioners specifically, are playing it conservative because they don't want to fuck anything up. But through the testing that we've done, obviously no huge issues have come from that. But it's just going to be really cool to see what comes of it once everybody kind of gets comfy with the idea.
Yeah, I think there will be a little shock when people see their schedules and see that they have one home game and seven away conference games. But we'll fix that as we go. There's definitely going to be some fuck that come to the American. Boone, you haven't even racked in your own American guys yet, dude. You got no one in your conference right now. You better go get me some signed contracts. Um, yeah, but I think it's gonna be cool. I think it's gonna keep building as we go. I think, especially like if you decide you do want more coins, maybe a Conference USA or something, or like a Mac who is giving out 5,000 instead of 2,500. especially maybe you're an SEC team that is the incentive program doesn't really benefit because you're not making the conference championship, whatever it is. It might make sense to start to look elsewhere and see if you can get a bigger chunk of the pot, in a different conference. So, but I do like what a lot of the commissioners are doing, where it's like a small amount and then it's kind of everyone's an even amount, which that could change as you start to try to bring bigger teams in. Teams could have demands like our lovely Notre Dame user had before all the commissioners shut him out. I think that was fast. Um, but I think it's gonna be cool. The one thing I do still wish we could do is that if a conference started, looking really strong, you could make them power conference. I think that's the one thing that's missing. Where like if the American added a couple teams and it becomes like the Power Five conferences again. Um, but I think that's the biggest letdown is that we have no ability to do that. But I still think it's gonna be a lot of fun. It completely changes Quacks completely changes your schedule for next year. Is that same thing for you? You go from playing all the teams you've been playing the last couple seasons to a new team. Quack, same with you. You're back to the Big Ten. I mean, it's gonna be interesting. And I think
Yeah,
when
1 year in this fucking place. Get me out of here.
I think we're gonna see a lot of. I mean, like the SEC, dude, who knows? If people start getting fired or not hitting their goals, I think then you see where do these SEC users go? And then all of a sudden, like Rob's pot of money that he had is dwindling, which is going to be interesting for the incentive stuff. So like, it's going to be very interesting to see how everything goes, and I'm here for it all. So,
Yeah,
um,
Rob might need to restructure some contracts after a year.
I have to take out a loan.
yeah, it's going to be. What's interesting, Smitty signed a 3-year deal. Did he sign a 3-year deal or did AirV? One of them signed a 3-year deal with the SEC, and the other signed a 2-year deal, and then everyone else was all 1-year deals. Smitty was 2 years, AirV was 3 years. So Texas is locked into the SEC, which Texas could be a team you see go back to the Big 12. Um,
Yeah, I was really surprised when he was locked in for 3 years. I thought that,
yeah,
I mean, the Big 12 was a smart move for me because if I want to keep my coach, yeah, I'm going to have a lot bigger chance of staying in Mizzou and Big 12 than SEC. And I kind of thought that it would be the same scenario with him, which is why I recommended it to
Guac.
Guac at one, yeah, Guac
Yeah,
at one point, and I was like, just if it's something you're considering, I would do it because it could save his coach's career by moving to the Big 12.
yeah.
Right.
Especially Texas is having a bad year right now. It's a
Yeah,
rough one.
Yeah, the hot seats are definitely going to play a role in this, so it's going to be interesting to see with the firings for sure.
Well, and kind of what we talked about too, like you, spinning the wheel for a new job. It's cool, but like at this point, we're 4 seasons in. Everyone's got a level 20, 20-ish coach somewhere in that 15 to 20 range. Now, if you spin the wheel and you retire your coach, you're down, man. You're back to level one or whatever it starts you at, and then so now it's kind of like if you want to leave and switch schools, you probably should just take a real job offer you get, and it might not be one you really like because at that point you're just waiting for your 3 weeks of job offers. Um, I don't know, like if we have if we say let's say we have 10 seasons left, you still can build a coach back up, I guess, in 10 seasons. But is it worth starting over
I,
to get a team you like?
I'm, I
with
mean,
every passing year, it gets harder.
Yeah,
right, yeah, but like from someone who's been fired or had a different coach 3 or 4 times, before you start the season, you're starting out at level 7 or 8.
yeah, you get your bump up there.
Yeah,
Slows
you
down
get.
quick though.
Yeah, it does definitely slow down quick, but you're starting the season like I just started with this new head coach. I'm level 8, and I mean, you guys are level 20, but being down 10 levels is a lot better than 20.
Yes, oh
Um,
yeah.
and honestly, how much of a factor does that really play into things? I mean, unless you're really in
True.
some really tight battles, I don't really know.
That's true. The ones that are the most meaningful, probably the extra hours on recruits. things like that. Which like you said, once you get your really at that point, you want to get your quarterbacks running, the positions you want up to high, and then the rest. We don't even know if motivator or those other ones even help. With the off-season boost or the attribute bonuses, who really knows?
I did have something that kind of fits in with this conversation, and it was
Bring it
something
up.
I haven't mentioned to you, and it might be completely stupid. I'm not sure how terrible the job offers are, but what about if you're offered like an OC job at, Georgia because you're currently the head coach at Alabama? What if you could take that, and if you wanted to make a new coach, could you take the head coach job to
That'd
a
be
job that you
interesting.
were offered an OC to or DC to?
That would be interesting. I guess we'd have to see. I don't know at this point. I don't know how many OC or DC job offers we're really going to get because we're all starting to be like a high level head coach. For one of you guys that got fired, I guess Guac. Did you get OC offers or did you get head coach offers with your
Now
real
I
coach before you create a new one?
I got one coordinator offer, but then the rest are all head coach. I really honestly haven't seen many. In the most recent firings, they've all been head coach. Like UMass,
Yeah,
little half-star, one-star schools.
Yeah, I mean it'll probably take some simming, but if OCs are a little bit closer to what we should be getting offered as far as the head coach position, and you have to
start
restart again
over.
as a coach, but you don't have to spin the wheel, and you can still have a school that's kind of the same tier, a school
That'd
that
be
you could
interesting.
yeah.
We'll have to look or see what offers come in, and I do wonder how many people are going to be getting fired because I think at this point we've all kind of figured out the game a little bit more. The computer's not as dominant as they were. I like that we're still seeing a lot of losses in the computer though, and it's like big schools too. Like Smitty just got killed by Arkansas. Um,
Yeah, some of those CPU like rivalry games can get fucking
oh yeah,
wicked, man.
yeah. I've lost to Washington a couple of times. I've lost to Oregon State once. It's like wow, dude. But when things start going bad or you get a little aggressive and all of a sudden you're down 14 early and then you're pressing and then something bad happens like a fumble and you're like, oh no, like 21-3, what and then the computer just doesn't make mistakes at that point and you just know it's over and it's just such a horrible
Yeah.
feeling. You're like,
Yeah, I
no
mean, I
matter
beat
what.
you. I beat Kentucky and then beat or lost to Kentucky and then beat LSU. So it is
Yeah.
just some games are just you got it and some you don't, and some you just can't. There ain't shit you can do.
Yeah, I think as we get further and further into it, it's going to be cool seeing the wheel. I think because I do think a lot of people who started with the big teams are going to be like, yo, I want to try, before we move on to next season, like I want to, or next cycle, I want to try with the bad team, with the average recruiting. Like, I think we're going to see a lot of
Yeah.
people spin the wheel. um, maybe take some players with them and go try, maybe not Colorado State bad, but somewhere
All
Yeah,
around
right,
there.
I mean, yeah, no, people are getting some
give us a couple
currency.
years.
Yeah, right.
Dude, Colorado's low key has they've had some decent recruits in that state.
Yeah, man. I mean, I am way, way pleasantly surprised with I mean, I don't have very many, but the few guys that I did get, a wide receiver, a halfback, and a quarterback.
Yeah.
I mean, it's locked me into the rebuild now. I was afraid I wasn't going to get anybody.
Dude, I don't
I
see how
mean,
you're landing some of those. Like that whiteout you got was you had like 94 speed or something.
6'5"
yeah,
too or something.
six
He's a big
five,
dude.
and he's just a random 3-star from like Southern California or something. I think
Yep.
the other thing with taking a small school when everybody's built up their program a little more is like 3-stars aren't even hitting Oregon's recruiting board until
Yeah.
what, week 10,
Yeah. You
I
get a
mean,
jump on them. If you get a jump on them and they commit before I even free up my hours, they're yours.
yeah,
Right.
so I have those guys that I found that I was like fourth or sixth or eighth on or whatever to start the season that I poured every hour I have into those guys. And
Yeah.
yeah, I think we're not quite ready for the Big 12, but maybe a year or two, we'll be there. It'll be easier to get there.
I tell you what, that coinage might help you, bro.
Yeah, man, a 4 or 5-star recruit from the little store is
The store.
That'd be a big deal for the Rams.
Hell yeah, man.
Yeah, it's good. Yeah, well, and you get to pick the position. We haven't seen anyone do that yet. Um, I don't know
Yeah,
if
but
people.
A
now
lot of
you have a
coin, a
team
lot of
like that.
coin hoarders out there.
That's
Right,
the
you
Yeah,
got
thing.
but
a
like,
team
Yeah,
like that
yeah,
who
Brap has like 200,000 coins, but what's a 5-star recruit gonna do for him? I mean, he could get
shit.
Yeah, it's
6 of them.
worse than the 5-star gyms he's getting just fucking offering it shit to.
yeah. KOTV just posted 2 sick running backs from Colorado this season because that's where the Temple running back was from, the 5-star that Brackett and John Ball were fighting for, and then the one that VBD just got. So Colorado's definitely got some solid talent out there. And now we have a Colorado State user, and Air Force is in Colorado, I believe, and then you have actual Colorado, who probably has the best recruiting grades out of all three of those schools. Um,
Yeah, they're the CPU Colorado. You gotta like. There's a couple guys that I started off with them, and they just jumped way out ahead. They
yeah,
have all the brand exposure and all
but
that
then you
bullshit.
throw in like you got Boise State over there. You have I guess Missouri kind of ish over there.
I had
Oklahoma's
Smitty on a
down.
lot of guys
I was
too.
gonna say, yeah, Oklahoma right there. You start getting into like a Big 12 territory too, which makes sense. So, um, yeah, it's gonna be. I don't know. I'm not. It's weird seeing the difference. Like all of my top recruits now, instead of like, it's a lot of Texas. I'm battling Texas for everybody now, out in California, and I don't know. I don't think Texas's class is as good as their first couple of classes were, and then obviously they're not really winning the season, so that plays a role in it. But um, Texas, yeah, a lot of Texas on my board, and a lot of Tennessee too. I sold 2D tackles from Tennessee, and then there's so much Cal, dude. There was so much Cal on my board, but
We were
yeah,
just talking about Colorado's influence. I don't know if anybody else has seen this, but out of nowhere, this last 2 weeks, A&M has came from the top rope and just robbed like 5 or 6 recruits from me. I don't even know where they came from.
it's just they
Like,
they they hit that
You
hard
just said
sell.
the top rope, bro.
Dude, they hit that
yeah,
hard
man.
they hit that hard sell, and they got all A's or A pluses versus your B plus or B or whatever, and
Yeah,
it's a big jump. So
hell
some,
yeah.
sometimes they're just waiting for that one school. You dude, the worst is when you make no one offers a guy and you make the offer and you don't even crack the top 10. You're like, what the hell, dude? Like, I
Yeah,
didn't
dude,
even
that's irritating.
I didn't even
And
get on the
it feels
board.
like it's always the week right before it turns over to the top 8. So
Yeah,
you don't then you drain the points on it, but then you don't make the top 8. Like, goddamn it.
yep. It's a
I
cool
I've
system.
had Yeah, I've had 3 guys, 3 4-star recruits that I've lost that I'm the only user in the top 5, and I've lost them to CPU teams, and I'm like, how? This doesn't make sense.
Yeah. You got a good class this year though. Your Texas
I
Tech had
appreciate that.
pulled some nice. I will say like it's a lot of Boise is a nice. Boise's been recruiting well. Temple's been recruiting well. South Florida obviously is doing well. At San Diego State's been getting good recruits. Like I mean, it's Aries down there at Southern wherever the heck he's at. Southern Miss. Which why does Southern Miss pull some good recruits? What's going on? Who wants to go to Mississippi, dude? Um, but it's you're starting to see a lot of those lower tier schools are getting 4-star players now. I mean, KOTB got a 5-star at San Diego State now. John Ball got a couple 5-stars the last 2 years. It's starting to get a little
AOTB's about to get a
competitive.
second 5-star. Shit's about to get real.
Dude, and he just grabbed a big 4-star lineman. Like it's gonna be all of a sudden, they start to intrude. The prestige starts to go up because that's what plays a lot of role in the prestige or conference prestige or team prestige is when they look at your percentage of 4 and 5 stars on your roster, and as that starts to creep up, and not I don't want to say evens the playing field, but it gets them a little bit closer where they can steal a couple more recruits. So, and then maybe Notre Dame
Yeah.
doesn't get 9 of the 25 5-stars. So
I mean, we're what, 4 years in? How
4
many?
years. This is 4.
Yeah, so I mean, teams are really starting to build an identity, through the recruits, through
Yep.
almost being a full class now.
Well, yeah,
Or a
like we
full
like we talked about,
team.
like our first recruiting class here is all becoming seniors next year. So
Yeah, that's wild.
that's where it starts to get kind of fun, and some of them might go pro after this year. Like I'm hoping my quarterback doesn't go pro and stays, stays one more year for me. But um, that's where it starts to get fun, and then it's all the real players are gone. You're not getting those. I don't think we're going to see as many purple traits and abilities because we just the overalls won't get as high. But we'll still see some, but it's going to be rare. So it's going to be big to get those guys with the high acceleration out of the box, the high zone coverage, the high play rec, whatever it is that triggers certain abilities. So it's gonna be a whole new ball game. And
Yeah.
all of these, every team right now has the 94 speed quarterback, 95 throw power quarterback, and all those guys are going to graduate. And then you're going to have to play with there's still some out there, but it's not as many with the super fast,
Yeah, there's gonna be a lot of 90 to 92 throw powers
yeah,
and
which
such.
is good. It's better than I think my quarterback right now is 96 speed, 99 throw power. So it's like
Christ.
the only problem is there's some of the offseason progression. If it hits the right guy in your team, dude, like
Yeah.
he turns into a monster. So
Yeah, that's a fun advanced
15
league.
fucking overall. Oh my
yeah,
god.
yep. All right, well this is gonna do it. We'll probably do another one of these as we finalize where the computer teams end up. So if conference commissioners are on here, go ahead and let's shoot me a list of teams you'd like to get rid of, and maybe shoot me like a wish list of teams you have an idea of maybe wanting, and we can kind of start pairing things up. And then I'll post a public list for the conference commissioners to see. I'll post an announcement here shortly, but um, let's not do anything I'm not just gonna let you walk into whatever conference and take two really good teams that they want to keep. We're not gonna dissect every single conference right off the bat. So this is a good start, though. I think it gives users a good chance. It gives more coins for some of the smaller teams that went up. I don't know if Chad realized that he instead of getting 30,000 from the Big Ten, now he's only getting like 5,000 in Sun Belt. So um, who knows? It'll be a fun new season. But anything you guys want to add before we bounce out of here?
Yeah, remove me from this damn SEC conference chat room and
It's
get me
not
back home,
official. It's
baby.
not official
Oh,
yet. I
come on,
can't.
man.
It's not
You know,
official.
I
No
already
one's
asked
100.
for that. I asked
Yep.
Nick
They're
yesterday. I
gonna
was like,
start
"Hey,
picking
man,"
on me soon.
I said,
Nah.
"Round up my fucking troops, man."
Well, Zeph tried to cast a vote to have Notre Dame join the SEC, and he wasn't even going to be in it. That was he voted. I voted yes too, so I'm not even in the conference.
Let's go.
But all right, we're good to go here. Thank you guys for hopping on here and listening. We kept double-digit users the whole time, so I appreciate you guys, and then another 4 or 5 of us in here. So cool stuff. Let's when and we just advanced. Well, we should be advancing right now. So let's get a double advance day, or maybe early tomorrow afternoon or something. Who knows?
Yeah.
I'm gonna go get my game in. Probably get killed by UCLA. So we'll see.
Good luck,
Thanks,
buddy.
thanks guys for hopping on here, and we'll be back at you with like a part two, I guess, once the dust settles from the computers. So shout out everybody in the chat, and you got any questions? Hit me up. We are out of here. See ya.